Shri Gurubhyo Namaha children. I welcome you all to the other session of your English online learning. Last class we saw topic 1 of the sound of music, your 9th English book. And today we are going to see part 2 of the same lesson, the sound of music. Just have a quick recap children. Whenever you think about North Indian weddings, what comes to your mind? Yes, the extravagance, the music, that is what comes to our mind whenever we think about the North Indian weddings. If it is going to be instrumental music, and just imagine, there can be only one thing you can imagine, that is Shehnai. If it is Shehnai, it is none other than the Ustad Bismillah Khan. Yes, so let us know more about his family. His father was Paigambar Bucks and his grandfather was Rasul Bucks Khan, and his uncle was Ali Bucks, and he was born in March 21, 1916 in Dumran, and he died in August 21, 2006 in Varanasi. So today we will be covering the topics like why Pangi was abandoned, the transition of Pangi to Shehnai, and the history of how Shehnai became the important instrument among the ensemble of 9 instruments, and Bismillah Khan's accomplishments. All these are the topics which we are going to cover for today. Let's get started children. Now we are going to see the line by line explanation of this lesson. Emperor Aurangzeb banned playing of a musical instrument called Pangi in the royal residence, for it had a shrill, unpleasant sound. Pangi became the generic name for the reeded noisemakers. So, Emperor Aurangzeb banned the instrument called Pangi. Here you have the picture of Pangi children. All of you would have seen this, I think. It produces a shrill sound and unpleasant sound which the emperor didn't like. So, he wanted it not to be used in the royal residence. And so it became the generic name for the reeded noisemakers. Few had thought that it would one day be revived. A barber of a family of professional musicians once had access to the royal palace, decided to improve the tonal quality of Pangi. So Pangi was a famous instrument, and all of them wanted it to be used again. But since Aurangzeb didn't want it to be used, it was just dropped off once for all. But the people believed someday it will be revived. Revived means what? Revived means brought back to life. So in this case, Pangi will be used back, okay? And a barber who had access to the royal residence, what he did, he decided to improve the quality. He wanted to show Aurangzeb and the royalties that Pangi had very exceptional qualities. So he wanted to improvise it. Tonal quality means the musical quality, the tone of it. And he chose a pipe with a natural hollow stem that was longer and broader than the Pangi, and made 7 holes on the body of the pipe. When he played on it, closing and opening some of these holes, soft and melodious sounds were produced. He played the instruments before the royalty, and everyone was impressed. So what he is doing, instead of using Pangi with the same way, this time he chose a stem which is broader and naturally hollow. Hollow means with an empty cavity inside. So he chose a hollow stem such that it would be useful, a broader and a longer stem. And he made 7 holes on the body of the pipe. And when he played using the pipe by closing and opening the holes, it produced melodious sound. Okay, you can see the picture of how Pangi was transformed. The instrument was different from the Pangi, had to be given a new name. As the story goes, Since it was first played in the Shah's chambers and was played by a nai, the instrument was named as Shehnai. The sound of Shehnai began to be considered auspicious. So now they have produced a new instrument and they had to be given a new name. Yes or no? So the story of its name goes this way. It was played in the Shah's chamber, the emperor's chamber, or in the royalty, and it was played by a nai. A nai means a baba was once called as nai, okay, in a vernacular language. Okay, so the instrument got its name Shehnai, okay, and the sound of Shehnai was considered auspicious. Auspicious means something which can bring good fortune, good luck, okay. A symbol of goodness is auspicious, and for this reason it is played in temples and is an indispensable component of any North Indian wedding. Because it is auspicious, because it is believed to bring good favors, good luck, it is played in temples and in weddings. This is a reason why instruments are played in weddings. It is an indispensable compound, which means a very important. Indispensable means what? Very important, without which nothing can take place. A vital component is called as indispensable. Let us move to the next paragraph. In the past, Shehnai was a part of the Naubat, or traditional ensemble of 9 instruments found at the royal courts. Till recently, it was used only in temples and weddings. The credit for bringing this instrument onto the classical stage goes to Ustad Bismillah Khan. So this Shehnai was used only in the royal places. Okay, it was used, considered as a Naubat. Naubat means what? 9 instrument, or an ensemble of 9 instruments, a collaboration of 9 instruments which was kept at the royal palace, at the chambers. Okay, it was used only there, and the credits goes to Bismillah Khan, who brought it up front. Okay, the credit of bringing this instrument into classical stage, he started using this to perform. Okay, the credit goes to Bismillah Khan, and this happened 80 years ago, and the little boy has travelled far to earn the highest civilian award in India, the Bharat Ratna. So because of this and because of his exceptional talents in playing Shehnai, Bismillah Ustad Khan was awarded the Bharat Ratna. Here you can see the picture, the ensemble of 9 instruments. As a 5-year-old, Bismillah Khan played Gilli Danda near a pond in the ancient estate of Dumraun in Bihar. He would regularly go to the nearby Biharaji temple to sing the Bhojpuri Chaita, at the end of which he would earn a big laddu weighing 1.25 kg, a prize given by the local Maharaja. So what this Bismillah Khan would do at the age of 5 while he was playing Gilli Danda near a pond near an ancient estate. What he would do, he is a small boy, he would play, but at the same time he would regularly go to the nearby temple and sing the Bhojpuri Chaita. Okay, and as a reward he would be given a laddu of 1.25 kilograms by the local Maharaj. Born on March 21, 1916, Bismillah Khan belongs to a well-known family of musicians. He belonged to a family of musicians, okay, from Bihar. His grandfather Rasul Bakhsh Khan was the Shehnai Nawaz of the Bhojpuri court. So his grandfather was also a Shehnai player. His father, Paigamba Bakhsh. So the name of the father is Paigamba Bakhsh, and other paternal ancestors were also great Shehnai players. So his father, his grandfather, here you can see the picture of Ustad Khan, Bismillah Khan's father. Okay, they were all great players of Shehnai. Ancestors were also great Shehnai players. The young boy took music early in life. At the stage of 3, his mother took him to his maternal uncle's house in Benares, which is now called Varanasi. Bismillah Khan was fascinated watching his uncles practice the Shehnai. At the early age, when his mother would take him to her place, the maternal place, he would be excited to see his uncles playing Shehnai. That is where the instinct of playing Shehnai instilled in the young Bismillah Khan's heart. So, soon Bismillah started accompanying his uncle Ali Bakhsh to the Vishnu temple of Benares, where he was employed to play Shehnai. What this Bismillah Khan would do as a young boy, he would accompany his uncle Ali Bakhsh. Ali Bakhsh was employed in the temple. Okay, you can see they are all a family of Muslims, musicians. They were employed in temples. You can see the diversity, the unity and diversity in Indian culture. Yes or no, children? Yeah. So he was employed in the temple where he would play Shehnai. So this Bismillah Khan as a young boy would accompany his uncle, and because he was fascinated like the way he plays Shehnai. Ali Bakhsh would play the Shehnai and Bismillah would sit captivated for hours on end. Slowly he started getting lessons in playing the instrument and would sit practicing throughout the day. So he would sit captivated. Captivated means what? With full focus and attention. Okay? Captivated means focus, attention. And he started taking his music lessons, and he would sit throughout the day, 24/7. He started sitting and practicing because he was so much inspired by the playing of Shehnai by his uncles. Okay. For years to come, the temple of Balaji and Mangala Maya and the banks of the Ganga became the young apprentice's favorite haunts where he could practice Shehnai. Okay. It is haunts here, children. Haunts where he could practice Shehnai. Okay. What this boy would do at a small age, he would go to the banks of Ganga, to the nearby temple. He would sit there, okay, because those spaces where his favorite haunts means what? Favorite place, okay, to practice. He would go there, he would sit and practice for hours together. The flowing waters of Ganga inspired him to improvise and invent ragas that were earlier considered to be beyond the range of Shehnai. At the age of 14, Bismillah accompanied his uncle to the Allahabad Music Conference. At the end of his recital, Ustad Fayaz Khan patted the young boy's back and said, "Work hard and you shall make it." So what he did, he would sit near or sit in front of the banks or sit in the banks of Ganga watching the water flow. He would play his Shehnai. The flow of water, the harmony which the water created, made him to invent new ragas, okay, beyond the range of Shehnai. Okay, Shehnai is a very limited musical instrument. Yes or no? Only certain type of ragas could be played. But what Bismillah did, he wanted to improvise, invent new ragas using Shehnai. At the age of 14, okay, what he did, at the age of 14, he went with his uncle to the Allahabad Music Conference, and at the end of his recital means performance. At the end of his performance, musical performance is called as recital. At the end of his recital, Ustad Fayaz Khan, okay, he patted Bismillah and he encouraged him, saying that if you work hard, you shall become famous one day. He has identified the potential of Bismillah Khan. He has noticed something exceptional with the child. With the opening of All India Radio in Lucknow in 1938 became Bismillah's big break. he soon became an often heard Shehnai player on radio. When India gained independence on 15th August 1947, Bismillah Khan became the first Indian to greet the nation with his Shehnai. Okay, that was a new time when All India Radio was introduced in India, the year of 1938, and Bismillah Khan used to play, and that was his big break. He debuted and he became a chart buster. Okay, all of them started hearing to his. He became famous. Okay, and he was often heard Shehnai player, and he became so famous that when India gained independence in 1947, he was the first Indian to greet the nation with his Shehnai. So the first thing the Indians heard after independence was the music of Shehnai by Bismillah Khan. He poured his heart out into the Rag Kafi from the Red Fort to an audience which included. So what he did, he started playing from the Red Fort and he used the Rag Kafi to the audience who were waiting. Mahatma Gandhi and Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, who later gave his famous speech Tigers with Destiny. Bismillah Khan was given many memorable performances both in India and abroad. His first trip abroad was to Afghanistan, where King Zahir Shah was so taken by the maestro. So he started traveling. Okay, this during the independence, Bismillah Khan's music was the first thing. Only after that, Gandhiji gave his speech, then Nehruji gave his speech. All these things came only later. So he was the first Indian to get that honor. And he started touring India, many places in India as well as abroad for his performances. Okay, once when he went to Afghanistan, King Zahir Shah, okay, when he went to Afghanistan once, King Zahir Shah was so impressed by his performances and he started appreciating him. So that he gifted him a priceless Persian carpets and other souvenirs. The king of Afghanistan was not only one to be fascinated with Bismillah Khan's music. So the king Zahir, he gifted him priceless Persian carpets and souvenirs. Souvenirs means what? Gifts given in the memory of places or events. Souvenir means, I am writing the meaning here. Gifts given in the memory of events or places is called as souvenirs. The king of, not only the king of Afghanistan, everybody who heard his playing of Shehnai was impressed, okay, were fascinated hearing Bismillah Khan play at a festival that he named a film after the instrument called Ganj Uti Shehnai. So our film director was also impressed so much. What he did, he also named the film which he directed as Ganj Uti Shehnai. Okay, the director was Vijay Bhatt. Okay, the film director Vijay Bhatt named his film Ganj Uti Shehnai after hearing to Bismillah Khan's music. The film was a hit, and one of Bismillah Khan's compositions, Dil Ka Khilona Hai Toot Gaya, turned out to be a nationwide chartbuster. So not only the director, and what he did, one of his compositions, this Bismillah Khan composed his own music. His composition, Dil Ka Khilona Hai Toot Gaya, also became to be a chartbuster. Chartbuster means what? A record breaker. Okay, it broke the box office. Despite this huge success in the celluloid world is the film world, film industry is called as a celluloid world. Okay, though he was successful in the celluloid world, Bismillah Khan's ventures in film music were limited. Though he was famous, he didn't want to take his venture in the celluloid world. Ventures means projects which has some potential risk, that is called as venture. Okay, his film ventures were limited only to two. One was Vijay Bhatt's Ganj Uti Chennai, and the second thing was Vikram Srinivas Kannada venture Sanadi Appanna. He did only two films, of which one was Vijay Bhatt's and the other was a Kannada movie Sanadi Appanna. Okay. I just can't come to terms with the artificiality and glamour of the film world, he says with emphasis. So why it was limited to two? He gives a reason. Because he is such a famous person, he could have been, okay, even more famous personality, a celebrity, but he didn't want to do it because he didn't like the artificiality and the glamour of the film industry. He didn't like the fakeness which the celluloid world provided. Awards and recognition came thick and fast. Bismillah Khan became the first Indian to be invited to perform at the prestigious Lincoln Center Hall in the United States of America. So he is honored. He was the first Indian to be called, to be invited to perform at the Lincoln Center Hall in the United States of America. You must imagine how famous this man could be. Okay, somebody from America is calling him for his performance. I hope you understood the lesson for today, children. We'll continue in the next class. Thank you, children. Today we are going to continue from the place where we stopped last class. Yes? So we saw in the last class that Bismillah Khan was invited to America to perform in the Lincoln Center Hall. Yes? So I told you how famous that person could be. Let's get continuing into the lesson, children. He also took part in the World Exposition in Montreal, in the Cannes Art Festival, in the Osaka Trade Fair. So well known did he become internationally that an auditorium in Tehran was named after him, Tahir Mosque Ustad Bismillah Khan. So this man not only stopped traveling abroad, he started performing worldwide. Okay, he also took part in the World Exposition in Montreal. He participated in the Cannes Festival and the Osaka Trade Festival. Okay, he became so famous that a mosque in Tehran, okay, a auditorium in Tehran was named after him. The auditorium was given his name. The name was Tahir Mosque Ustad Bismillah Khan. National awards like Padma Shri, Padma Bhushan, Padma Vibhushan were conferred of him. All these Indian awards, national awards, Padma Shri, Padma Bhushan, Padma Vibhushan were conferred on him. Conferred means were given to him. Okay, they were all given to him. Such a famous person he was. In 2001, Ustad Bismillah Khan was awarded India's highest civilian award, the Bharat Ratna. With the coveted award resting on his chest and his eyes glinting with rare happiness, he said, "All I would like to say is, teach your children music. This is Hindustan's richest tradition. Even the West is now coming to learn our music." So he was given the highest civilian award, the Bharat Ratna award. Okay, with the coveted award, okay, with the prestigious award resting on his chest. Coveted is something which is prestigious. Okay, coveted award resting on his chest and his eyes glinting. Okay, glinting is shining with happiness. Okay. He said, all I would like to say is, teach your children music. Okay, because even the Wests are now coming in India to learn our kind of music and our culture. So he wished that every Indian gave the chance to their children to learn music. In spite of having travelled all over the world, Khan Sahab, as he is fondly called, is exceedingly fond of Benares and Dumraon, and they remain for him the most wonderful towns of the world. A student of his once wanted him to head a Shennai school in USA, and the student promised to recreate the atmosphere of Benares by replicating the temples there. So though he has travelled many places in India, he was fondly called as Khan Sahib. He likes only two places. One is Dumraon and the other is Benares. Okay, for him those two towns were the most wonderful place to live. Okay, and a student of him from the international, okay, he was not from abroad, he wanted to recreate. He said he wanted to head the school there, a music school there. Okay, and he also promised to recreate the same atmosphere in the United States. Yes, by replicating means what? By copying the temples. He wanted to make the same atmosphere there for Bismillah Khan. But Khan Sahib asked him if he would be able to transport river Ganga as well. Later, so this Khan Sahib or Bismillah Khan, he asked the child whether he would be able to recreate even Ganga, whether he would be able to transport Ganga. The student promised that he would be able to create the atmosphere of Dumraon there. But Bismillah Khan asked if he would be able to transport river Ganga also there. Okay, so he is a national person. He wants to be in India, even though he is famous. Later, he is remembered to have said, that is why whenever I am in a foreign country, I keep yearning to see Hindustan. So he says, though I am world famous, though I am there in abroad, I want to see India. Okay, he wants to see his place. Keep yearning means what? Yearning means longing. Okay, waiting with fondness is called as yearning. He wants to see Hindustan, means India. While in Mumbai, I think of only Benares and the holy Ganga. And while in Benares, I miss the unique mata of Dumraon. So even though he likes two places, one is Dumraon, the other one is Varanasi. Okay, when he is there in Varanasi, he misses Mumbai. When he is there in Mumbai, he misses Varanasi. And his favorite thing was mata of Dumraon, which is a beverage, sweet beverage made of curd. Okay, that is called as mata. Ustad Bismillah Khan's life is a perfect example of the rich cultural heritage of India, one that effortlessly accepts that a devout Muslim like him can very naturally play the Shehnai every morning at the Kashi Vishwanath temple. So Bismillah Khan is a living example of a diversified person, though being a devout Muslim. Devout means what? Strong religious beliefs. Okay. Though being a devout Muslim, he is able to play every single morning in the Kashi Vishwanath temple. Such is the culture of Bismillah Khan. Okay. I hope you would have enjoyed the class, children, and understood too. Meet you all in the next class, children. Thank you.